In this video, I'm going to be reviewing one of the most popular vacuum pumps out there called the Vacurect. This has been popularized by a lot of YouTubers out there in the men's health community. This was actually the first pump that I ever got, and I've used it for a very long time, and it's actually not very cheap. So, I wanted to make a review before you go and get it. If you've been looking at this or you want to know more, what are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? What do I think of it? Well, let's do a quick review. Let's dive in and I'll tell you all about my experience with it. So let's get started. Okay, so first I want to do a brief overview as to what is the Vacurect. So the Vacurect, the first time I heard about this was back from Totalman. So Totalman had talked about this. I don't know if he was sponsored or what. And he was doing like some content with this other YouTuber. I forget her name. But they were talking a lot about this Vacurect. Now, I didn't know any better. At the time, if you've seen my other videos, what I recommend nowadays, I've done reviews on the Bathmate and other pumps. And nowadays, what I recommend is the Lilov pump with the cylinder for many reasons, which I'll dive into a little bit. So this was the first vacuum pump that I ever bought, and it's not very cheap. It's actually, if you look at it on Amazon, it's $209. It's a Vacurect, but it does have some advantages, which I'll go into it. But first, I want to kind of do an overview as to what it is. So it's super simple. This is it. And it's kind of the simplicity. It's also the beauty of it. So basically, it's just this pump has, I think, a maximum of, seven and a half or 8 inches. Well, let's measure it. Let's see. Okay, so if you measure it, let's see if I can do the others. Okay, so if you measure it, right, it's a little bit over 8 inches, the maximum. So if you're if you're basically a little bit over, if you're over 8 inches, I don't think this is a good device. But if you're like just on 8 inches or a little bit above, like your penis will basically touch the tip. So it's about 8 inches, and this is the pump right here. So essentially you pump it, and that's how you create the vacuum action. And the cool thing about it is actually self-regulated, so you cannot over pump. So once you're pumping it, you're basically guaranteed not to over pump, which is great, like especially for beginners. I think this is great. And the beauty of it against other ones. So first of all, this is mostly designed with people that have erectile dysfunction, which is something that I've dealt with before, especially at the beginning of my Peyronies. So I figured, like, hey, this could be good. But I think this is people that absolutely cannot get an erection, even with pills or injections. This would be perfect. And the way why is it so good for that? Well, let's see. So basically, the other thing that comes in the package is you get some oil, which I've lost a long time ago. I just use regular oil and lube, which I'll link down below. But it comes with this with these rings. So it comes with all these rings in different sizes. So it comes like with the smallest ring, and it kind of keeps going up in size all the way up to like the bigger rings. And I actually had to call and ask for like the bigger ring because it was just like very uncomfortable. But apparently they do make like a bigger ring, one more bigger size. But you can ask for it, and they actually send it out to me for free. And essentially the way that it works is first you place this on the bottom. You place the ring here at the bottom, like so. And then you lube up. You put lube here. You put lube in your penis, and you can put in your flaccid penis. You basically put in your flaccid penis. I don't want to use a dildo because they demonetize me when I use the dildo. So I'll only use that for like special occasions when it's something like very important. This I think is so self-explanatory that I don't need to use the dildo. But essentially, you put in the penis. You insert it here. And after you insert it there, you create a new seal, which is why you need to manscape and watch my other manscape video. And basically, you start to pump. You go slowly, you basically pump, wait a few seconds, do it again. And little by little, your penis is going to start becoming erect because blood is going to start to come into the penis. And by the end, you're going to have a fully erect penis from a completely flaccid penis. And the ring, the way that the ring is for is you choose a ring that's good so that it holds the blood. So once you're finished pumping, you basically just take it off. You leave the ring on, and that's how you achieve an erection. And you can use this ring to have sex, essentially. So basically, this is for men that are basically impotent. It basically fixes the erectile dysfunction so that they can have sex. Now, for me, I've never had sex like from this. Like I think thankfully, like pills and later for me injections actually worked. But I think for men that are impotent and need a vacuum erection device, this is the best one I would say that's out there in the market. because it's all in one piece. So if you're kind of old and you know you have trouble, like other ones, you put the ring on the top and then you have to kind of like fiddle with it and like put it all the way on after you pump, and it has like different parts. Like this is just one piece, and the ring, you use it and boom, you take it off and you're good to go. You're ready to have sex. So I think for the purpose of erectile dysfunction and you want to use it to have sex, I think this is the best in the market, for my opinion, just based on the ease of use and because you cannot like over pump. Basically, it's self-regulated. So a very simple design, but I would say it's a very effective design. Now, the other thing, I think if you're using it, I think these cock rings can be very uncomfortable. This is why I would never, like, I personally wouldn't use it, you know, unless I get like really old. And I guess if you're okay with this, like, and when I mean uncomfortable for the partner, because when you're having sex, like this is basically, you know, the partner is feeling this in their, you know, in their vagina or whatever, you know, whatever your partner is. And it's just, I would say it's very uncomfortable. So, but if you're old and you don't want to get a penile implant and, you know, injections, like maybe you're too old to inject or whatever, then I think this would be a perfect device. Now, as for Peyronies, I think it's good. But the problem is you cannot measure exactly how much you know, vacuum pressure you're using. I gotta look into the manual and see how much exactly it generates. So I looked around and I couldn't really find the information as to like how much vacuum pressure it actually generates. You know, from what I've used it seems like it's about like 7. I would say it's like the maximum 7 or maybe even 9. It doesn't really feel like all that strong at all. It does feel enough to like generate a very good and rigid erection, but it's not going to be a lot. Like if you're using this for penis enlargement, I don't think it's very good, to be quite honest, just because it doesn't, you know, go over that, which I would say is one of the downsides. But you know, I think it was great for me, honestly, because I had my Peyronies basically was kind of like towards the dorsal, towards the top. And what I used to do is basically, to recover some of my girth, is put this on. So I would put it on, like start pumping, and then I will use my hand here to constrict it to stop it from going down, right? So I would like over pump here, the dorsal part of the penis, the top part, and I would stop it from going down, and that way I would basically kind of focus the vacuum pressure on that plaque on the top part of the penis, and basically over expand it so that it will start to break up the fibrotic plaque, basically there, the scar tissue. And so I think for that it was actually very, very good. So if you have some sort of like hourglassing, I think like something like this can be very beneficial if you want to do something like some focused work. I think it would be great if we could at some point like design something that's like specific to Peyronies when it comes to vacuums. But this was great. Like, you know, that was a neat little hack that I used to do. And the fact that you can only use it with one hand, I think it's also really helpful, instead of like fucking around with the pump and like the thing, which they can disconnect, the hose can disconnect, and that can be very very annoying, especially when you have lube in your hands and all that. Like it can be very, very annoying. So, you know, I've had it for over 3 years, and I don't use it. I don't really use it anymore. As I mentioned, I don't need it to get an erection. You know, I prefer like a Lilov cylinder. It's not it's not my favorite pump by any means, but I think it's really good. Something you may want to add to your arsenal if you want to sort of experiment with what I was talking about, and you have like that dorsal plaque, or maybe you have thinning at the top, and you just want to kind of like pop it out and do that. I think it's great. It's not something that you can do that you can easily do with a regular cylinder, but you probably could. You know, I think this was just so much easier. I could just like, you know, focus it, and was really good. The price, I think, is a little bit pricey. You know, with the Lila, well, it's only about like what, $75 more than the Lila system that I recommended before. So, but I think it's the best use case is if you're older and you have a partner, you have a wife, and that, you know, that's understanding, you're up there and you just want to have sex and you don't want to bother with an implant. I think this is great. You should always be pumping anyways to rehabilitate your penis. And also if you're doing like, you know, it can be kind of like clamping a little bit. And I actually like that a lot. Like, you choose a tight one, you put it in, and it's kind of like a soft clamp. And you could probably do that, you know, in your beginning of your PE journey, and you'll know that it's safe. You'll know that you're not going over the limits with this. So I think in those cases, it can be very, very useful. So would I recommend it? only in those cases, only in the cases that you need it to have an erection, to have penetrative sex, or you want to experiment a little bit and you have like hourglassing or something at the top of the penis that you want to use that little trick that I used. That's great. Otherwise, I would say just, get a Lilove pump and cylinder. That's great. Later I'm going to reveal what is my actual favorite pump. That video is coming up. So make sure you subscribe and put on those notifications to keep posted, to be notified when I actually put out new videos. But overall, quality is good. Price is decent. It does its job very well. The design is very, very, I would say, ingenious, and it works very, very well. It's very, very safe. So all in all, for what it does, for what it's designed for, it does the job very, very well. So there you go. That was a quick little review of the Vacurect penis pump. If you like this review, make sure you hit that subscribe button and those notifications, and stay tuned for more content. Make sure you check out these other videos that are relevant to you, and I'll see you next time. Peace.